I'm an addict. Yes, full on, straight up, I'm an addict. It's baked into my DNA, and this is the first video that I want to do that's just unscripted, not overly thought, just want to share with the rest of the world my thoughts, my story, and not do it in some sort of overly productive way. So with that said, I'll share more in the future and have different episodes, not sure what they're going to be, but right now I just wanted to talk about me, my addictions, my personality, and the fact that I am straight up an addict. Real quick, guys, I just want to say thank you to Gooder for sponsoring this video. The thing I love most about Gooder is the fact that they're just $25, so I don't have to treat them with kid gloves. I can actually beat them up and use them and have multiple pairs. For example, this pair. All right, I'm not going to wear this pair out and about because I feel a little bit ridiculous. And that's fair, but if you do wear these out and about, that's totally fine too. But for me, I like these when I'm psyched. During this time of the year, I like to get out on my road bike and just ride long, 20, 30 miles. It's just a way to kind of decompress. I don't really do that kind of training on the way to the CrossFit Games, but throw these on. I'm in the Outer Banks right now. I could just go on this highway. I could go for 30 miles just next to the ocean. It's so cool. And these are my biking sunglasses. I have a couple of other pairs of Gooders. They're just kind of my everyday, my backpacking sunglasses, my everyday sunglasses. And I really enjoy these. They've got tons of cool colors and I love the way they just fit on my head. Like they just don't go anywhere, whether I'm biking, running, doing CrossFit, or I'm just hanging out with the kids at the beach. If you want to support this channel and pick up a pair of Gooder sunglasses, Gooder is giving you guys free shipping on your first order. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Find your pair at gooder.com/jasongrubb and use code jasongrubb to get free shipping. So I was born in 1975. That makes me 47 years old. And it feels like forever ago. My family was very sort of low middle class. My dad worked at Kroger, the grocery store, for 30 years, I think, when he finally retired. My mom worked at Kroger as well. It was called King Soopers in Colorado, where I believe they met. They met and got married, had me. Turns out that my dad, who's still alive, and my mom, who's still alive, and I love them very much. My dad was an alcoholic, smoked, and through the majority of the years of my upbringing, he was using meth. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't really realize it till I was about 16, but he was using meth and he was actually dealing meth out of the house. So it was a side business, a side hustle, and making a little bit of money that way. As a person myself who loves like side hustles, like I get it. I understand. And if I was in that situation, like it's profitable and I probably would have done the same thing in some sort of weird way, but very much an addict and a very addictive personality. You know, he had a lot of great qualities. For example, he worked night crew. So he would be up for 4 days on meth to work and then show up Saturday morning for like a track meet or something. And he would always be there. He came to every one of my gymnastics meets when I was in gymnastics, although he was, you know, high as a kite. Like I didn't realize it at the time, but he was like full on methed out. My mom, on the other hand, had more of an addiction to food and smoking and watching TV every night. I mean, we just sort of grew up in that. My parents were together, then they separated, then together, and then separated again when I was 10. And so growing up, there was tons of uncertainty in my world, and chaos and fear and anxiety was just kind of the way of living. And that will mold you and create this person that kind of lives like that for the rest of his life. And that's me. My addictions over the years, I would say the first addiction was probably the first time I tasted alcohol. That was pretty amazing. It wasn't until I was 21. I didn't drink or anything in high school, but I did have a drink when I was 21, really enjoyed it, and started to ramp up my drinking through my 20s into my 30s. You know, in my 20s, it was probably a 6-pack to maybe 2 6-packs of Miller Lite. I think it was my drink of choice in my 20s. By the time I got into my 30s, mid 30s, I was drinking 3 to 4 IPAs every night. So very alcoholic kind of dependencies there. And I always throw out this idea that it was, you know, it was always happy hour in the cul-de-sac. So if Doug and Bill were out having a drink at 4 o'clock, like you just got to go out and have a drink. And that's what I did. I'd go out and have an IPA. All of our refrigerators were open to each other. So, you know, we'd all share beers, but I would drink like 3 or 4 at least every night for years. And that was one of my addictions. In my 20s, I also worked in a corporate job and we would go out and we'd have drinks from time to time and we'd smoke. I'd have cigarettes and it was fine. I smoked just a little bit here and there. It picked up a little bit to where I was probably having 2 or 3 cigarettes a day, which wasn't a ton because I just did not want to be a smoker, but I actually was kind of a smoker. And then on a road trip in my late 20s, I got sick. I had like some sort of a sinus infection. So smoking just didn't sound good. So someone gave me some chewing tobacco. I tried that out. Turns out I loved it. And that stuck with me for 10 years. I mean, just straight up 10 years. I didn't quit chewing tobacco until I qualified for the CrossFit Games as a 42-year-old. I tried to quit multiple times, trying to figure it out. I even got caught chewing tobacco a few times. I told my wife, I don't chew tobacco anymore. I quit. But for 8 years, I hid tobacco. I had these little pouches I could just tuck way back. And if you're a chewing tobacco guy, you know that you can hide this stuff deep in there. Wherever you want in your mouth, you can hide it. I even got caught one time. She was like, "Hey, are you chewing tobacco?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Show me." I was like, "Look." And I pulled the chewing tobacco way back here so I could show her that I didn't have any chewing tobacco here. And that was pretty crazy. So part of that sort of addictive cycle is the fact that you hide and this just becomes like a security blanket. I even went to therapy to try to quit chewing tobacco. And he told me bring a can of tobacco with you next time. And I never did. I only went 3 or 4 sessions because I just didn't want to quit. And I have a 6-year-old now who has a security blanket. And it just reminds me so much of my own addictions. It was just this thing that was just mine and it was slightly hidden. There's this it's mine. No one else can take it away from me. And I don't want anyone else to know that I'm addicted. Other addictions for me have been ice cream. I spent about 10 years in my 20s, early 30s eating a bowl of ice cream every night. And I also see over the years and even now the addictive traits that have the potential to bring me down. Addictive traits like impulsivity. I mean, I'm a very impulsive and emotionally driven human being, so I have to be careful with that and have others around me to help keep me on the right path and keep me level-headed. There's this need for excitement, and that's got its positives. Part of the desire to win the CrossFit Games or to compete at the highest level is that need for excitement, or to be in an RV and to travel from place to place. This is all excitement creating situations, but it can also really be a bit chaotic for those around you. So you have to be careful with that as well. There's compulsive behavior like drinking or chewing tobacco, where despite not wanting to do it, is still something that I did. There's denial or rationalization. And that is just straight up, if you're an addict, you're great at this. And I was and am great at this. So I also have to be aware of my own ability to deny or to rationalize decisions. For 10 years, I told my wife I wasn't chewing tobacco. And I totally was. And even my kids caught me, and I always had to rationalize and create a story around it. It was just awful. And there's this inability to stop. It's just very, very hard to stop something that you are particularly addicted to. And there's also sort of this focus on that thing. Historically, if I was running low on wine or if I was running low on beer, I'd have this anxiety, right? Or if I was running low on tobacco, this anxiety that would kick in oh no, I'm almost out. I've got to get extra. If I went on a vacation, I would take way more cans of tobacco than I would ever dream of needing, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out. Or I'd have a fridge full of beer. Even though I'd have 3 or 4 a night, I'd have cases in there to make sure that I never ran out. Those are very addictive traits. And here's the reality. My success in CrossFit and my ability to train every day, day in and day out, 1 session a day, 2 sessions a day, put myself in the pain cave. These are all really positive things, but they do have some roots in my addictive personality. So maybe there is a part of my success, a part of who I am in this world as someone who builds businesses and is entrepreneurial, chasing that excitement, or is competitive CrossFit Games athlete, which puts you at risk, of course, of injury. But there's also this huge reward. I'm fit, I'm healthy, but all of that is from this addictive drive to be the best, for this sense of excitement in each workout, being at the top of leaderboards, and of course, winning titles like the CrossFit Games or the Legends Championship or Wadapalooza. Those are very exciting. So these addictive reinforcements keep me engaged in this sport. And obviously there's rewards in business that keep me engaged in business. And not all of that is negative. Not all of that is pathological, but I do understand that there's parts of it that are rooted in that I can turn into really good things. So where am I going with this? I don't have an agenda. I'm not here to teach you something about addiction or how to get over it. I'll just say that the way I've quit things is with behavior replacement. I quit chewing tobacco by replacing that behavior with these little coffee pouches. And guess what? I'm addicted to these for sure. These were in my pocket. It was really easy. I didn't plan to have these in my pocket. They just are in my pocket. That's just how I live. I quit drinking beer by switching over to drinking Zevias and carbonated water. And I guess another reason that I'm sharing all of this is because I don't want my story of inspiration to come without the reality of the fact that my addictions, kind of the dark side of who I am in those addictive traits, have hurt people, have left a bit of a mess behind me from time to time. Like there's bridges on fire back there, like torch it. I didn't intend to do all of that, but there isn't this perfect map, this perfect road that leads you from like, I'm going to get healthy to the top of the CrossFit Games. No, there's some pathology in there. There's some addiction in there. There's some wrong turns and some right turns in there. And there is this ability to take this addictive nature, this DNA that's built in for me, and turn it into something that provides value for my family, that is inspirational to the world, which is cool, and that has some really cool personal rewards. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Thanks for allowing me to share this part of my world with you. And if you're an addict, if you're struggling with any of this, leave a comment below or just reach out to me personally. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to share. I'm happy to be an accountability partner in any of these things if you're trying to quit something. Click that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.